What's up, my little dancing unicorns? I don't know if you guys tuned into my IG stories recently, but Austin and I, probably like a month or so ago, we've been trying to land on a specific mascot for my AGUNIVERSITY little beans, and I was gravitating towards dancing unicorns. He originally was saying, what about the fighting unicorns? I'm like, I love where your head's at on you want us to be fierce, but dancing feels more aligned for this collective versus fighting. But so for today, you guys are my dancing unicorns. I would love your feedback, comments, questions, concerns. As always, I will be peeping the reviews, so would love to have you share some love there. Today, we have an epic conversation. So I am bringing on Ben Harris, who actually was connected by Helen Hall Leland, who is the CEO founder of Blender Bombs. A few episodes back, you guys definitely got to check that one out. That day we recorded, she connected me with Ben, and Ben is at the Fear Guy. I'll have everything listed in the show notes on Instagram. And he is an intuitive guide, a mentor, a fear alchemist. And he really, really has dedicated his business and daily practice to helping others uncover those sneaky hidden fears, particularly self-sabotage. It is something that really goes unnoticed in our day-to-day activities because it's our subconscious mind just running the show. And so he is here to bring awareness, to give you guys tools and resources on, first of all, one, what are my fears? What is holding me back? Why am I self-sabotaging? Why am I stuck? Why am I not achieving the goals that I know I want to achieve? Like, I'm ready, but like, why am I not there? This conversation is for you. It's powerful. There was a few moments it was like a punch in the gut for me because I was like, oh, I needed to hear that. So really, really beautiful. Welcome, Ben Harris, the Fear Guy, to AGUNIVERSITY. Let's go, baby. Welcome, 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 you guys. Ben Harris, the Fear Guy. He is here. Everybody, do not fear. We're going to uncover some fears today. So I am so excited for this conversation. You guys are going to love him. Ben, take it away. Tell us about you. Tell us all the things.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I don't actually think I've ever heard that, which is pretty funny, like the do not fear, or at least I don't remember it, which is ironic. But yeah, thank you so much. We talked on my podcast yesterday, and I definitely grilled you, so I'm prepared to be roasted.
Yes.
In the best way today. But yeah, so my expertise is fear. And when most people hear that, they think heights, spiders, darkness. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, it's, more of the emotional things, which comes to, fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment, the fear of being alone, the fear of failure, fear of success, fear of being seen, all the fun things that actually really not a lot of people talk about. Mm-hmm. And so that is my expertise, is guiding people one-on-one, through my courses, through retreats, through group coaching methods, and just online, of really my goal is to be the go-to resource for people overcoming fear and anxiety. So in any shape or form where you feel anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, stuck, paralyzed, and we're going to get into it too, but how those stories and limiting beliefs and doubts stop us too. But that's my main thing, and it's my purpose. I love it. I was thinking about it in the car this morning because I had to go pick up some things for the fam. And I was like, man, how cool is it? Like, I'm having the most fun I've ever had doing what I'm supposed to do. And I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. So, moment of gratitude this morning.
Yes.
And always.
Beautiful. That's one of my mantras that I always say. The more fun that I'm having, the more money that I'm making. Right?
Yes, I love that. Because most people don't think about it that way. It's like, the harder I work, the more I stress.
Right.
The more I sacrifice, then I'll make more money. The more I suffer, essentially, is what that means. But nah, that doesn't mean that there's not effort and nervousness. And yeah, there's a good type of stress, but not overwhelming, depleting you, more giving than taking.
Yes. And I would also like to point out that Ben and I are human design twins. We learned this yesterday. He was like, I'm a projector. I was like, me too. He's like, what's your profile? I was like, 1-3. He was like, me too. I was like, wow. We did. I told him my whole entire life story yesterday. So I did all the talking. So I'm excited for Ben to really just tell us his entire life story and how he got into this work because this is the work. It's like you said, and I know a lot of you guys here at AG University are new to all of these concepts. But when we first learn about manifestation, all of these things, creating our dream life, we have these moments where we feel stuck or lack of clarity, uncertainty, these fears pop up. And the key to freeing ourselves from these fears is honestly identifying them, like bringing awareness, bringing them to the light and saying, hey, why is this popping up? Working through that. And then that's really, sets us on this path of alignment. How did I do, Ben? Was that a good
That was
description?
beautiful. Like you
Okay.
explained it so great, right? Of like, yes, you're going for a goal, you're trying to manifest something, you want something, you desire something, but for every desire you have, there's also a conflicting fear. So for people watching video, you can see my hands, but like, so how it works is you have your comfort zone, which I know people are probably familiar with that term, but anything outside of your comfort zone is our body and our brain deems it as a threat. So, for example, let's say I want to go for I'm making 80,000 at my job, and I want to go for a promotion that is going to make more money. It's going to be more fun, more responsibility, all the things. Um, but what happens is that's my normal, and if I do anything to step out of that, that's when it feels scary, right? That's when you say, it feels uncertain. I'm nervous. I'm questioning it. All the what ifs come in of like, what if I can't do it? What if I go for it and I don't get it? And so anything outside of that comfort zone, like when you're going to a new level, when you have a desire, there's always that conflicting fear to try and keep you safe. So it's like, I want this thing, and you also don't want that thing. So you always have a conflicting, like something's pulling you forward, but something's always pulling and holding you back or keeping you where you want to be. Just because as humans, our first primal instinct is to survive. So literally anything that's out of what we currently know is unknown, which is unpredictable. And so then the nervous system says, okay, well, if it's unpredictable, then that means something bad could happen. So it's threatening to my nervous system. It's threatening to my mind. So even if it's something good, even if it's more money, more love, more whatever, the thing that I say that I want so badly, you actually are afraid of getting it because it's unknown and it's different from what you currently know. So when we talk about fear, that's really what we're talking about is anything outside of what you feel familiar with that's trying to keep you safe, aka keeping you stuck and self-sabotaging you.
Yes. Okay. I love that you said self-sabotage because I was just feeling like called to speak to self-sabotage. So take us there. Do you have maybe an example?
Yeah, perfect. Well, it's like we're just flowing perfectly, of course, but let's just use that same example of I'm going for a job or a new promotion at work. And so, but then you have this fear of, well, what if I don't get it? This rejection or this denial. So actually, I'm not going to go for it this time because I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I know enough. And so what you do, right, instead of like, I want this goal, you actually reject yourself because your fear is stronger than your desire. So, and then you end up staying exactly where you're at. So that's self-sabotage when it's like, I want this job, but actually I'm afraid of not getting it so much that I stay exactly where I'm at. But what you end up doing is, in turn, you reject yourself. So because I'm so afraid of not getting the job, I therefore reject myself. So I don't get the job. And then I'm actually creating the exact circumstance I'm trying to avoid. And so that's what self-sabotage is you're sabotaging your success or whatever the thing is that you want because you feel you are so scared of not getting it. Or there's a thing with fear of success too of like, maybe the new job comes with more responsibility, more visibility, and that's scary to you. And so instead you are like, I feel safer in this place that I'm comfortable with. And so I stay there. And therefore you sabotage yourself because this is all subconscious. A lot of the time people don't know what's happening.
Right.
But yes, it's definitely a big thing.
Yes, because a lot of times, that's why I'm so excited you're here today. Our subconscious mind is running the show, but when people don't know that, they don't know why I'm self sabotaging. The first step is having that awareness, and then we can alchemize that, as you say on your socials. You can transmute that, that fear into lightness, or change the narrative that's really running the show. Because I'm curious too, also just selfishly, I want your perspective
Mhm.
on like what is the self-sabotage for a lot of people who like set fitness goals or health goals, and then we're all motivated and then we fall off the wagon. Like what's going on there in the subconscious mind?
I love that question. So, because a lot of people don't realize it's affecting you in every area of your life. So, if
Mm-hmm.
you look at fitness, like for example, I've worked with people who we can say quote unquote overweight more than they want to be. And they have this identity of, for example, like the funny fat person, right? Or for whatever reason, they feel more comfort and love with it. They feel like, even this is a big thing too, of they've used weight to hide themselves, meaning I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be looked at.
Mm-hmm.
And so this food or this lifestyle, this weight that I'm emotional weight a lot of the time that I'm carrying makes me feel safe and I can control it. That's a big thing, part of it too, right? A lot of even eating disorders is a sense of control. And so that's what's happening is it's going to question your identity of I am this person and I feel safe with it. I'm known with it. And I literally like might feel more love with it. Because then let's say you hit 130 pounds and then everyone starts saying, wow, you look so good. Or like some people might even say, who do you think you are? Like if your family's all like, if they're not into the health journey, right, they
Mm-hmm.
might start questioning you or being sarcastic with you. So then you gain it back because then you won't get those comments anymore. So there's so many things of why that happens, but those are just a few examples of what it could look like.
Wow. Okay, and there's something else too that's been a reoccurring theme of what you're saying. First, you're saying visibility, being seen. I don't think a lot of people realize they have a fear of being seen.
Yep.
And we talked about this yesterday on Ben's show. How even for me, hiding in the spiritual closet, I didn't want people to know I was doing readings or the Akashic records because there was this fear of being seen for being living my truth. I didn't want to be rejected by people who weren't into what I was into or didn't believe in it or, whatever. So I would love for you to go a little bit deeper into the visibility piece and being seen, because I don't think people always immediately say like, oh, I don't want to be seen. I think that fear is
Mhm.
kind of lurking behind
Yes.
in the corners. And then you're like, oh, that's what it is. Like, oh, that's why I don't want to post. Oh, that's why I don't want to do these things that I say I want to do. But am I ready to be seen? Am I safe to be seen?
Yes. And I love that so much because it is a lesser known thing, right? Because it's easier to know, oh, I don't want to be rejected. But like being seen is a big thing, especially for a lot of empaths or you and I are projectors. That's a big thing. Like literally projectors, our job is to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some people will obviously resonate with it more than others. And it's really just like being seen for you, like fully seen and expressed and authentic. Because even as I talk about it, like just imagine like eyes on you,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's the fear of being seen could happen from, let's say you're a kid and you're like, for the first time, you're speaking in elementary school, right? Like you're giving a report in front of the class and then the class laughs at you or they poke or make fun at you. And so now, right, it's like, okay, well, I can't be seen. I can't show my power. I can't um, be myself, essentially, right? Like it's a very broad, if you show yourself, your real self, and for some reason, if someone says that's wrong, that's not good enough, that's not likable, that's not acceptable, that's not lovable, which is everyone, right? We've all had that experience. So now you hide. It's like,
Right.
I cannot be seen. This part of me cannot be seen because I experienced this hurt. And so therefore I hide it out of protection because I don't want to get hurt again.
Yeah. And that's definitely been probably my biggest fear that I've been overcoming in the last few months. It's a continual process. I would like to say I'm 100% overcoming it, but I am working every day on, we were just talking about, I've talked about it on this show too, how exposed I felt launching this podcast. And then it went in layers though, first Instagram, then podcast, and then TikTok was where it was a little dicey. I got, quite a bit of hate there. And I was like, oh, I told him, I'm like, it's like someone calling your child ugly. Like my little energy work practice is so sacred and I love it. And I'm so passionate about it. And someone poo-poos on it. You're like, like that hurts. But like you said, it's part of my gift and the gift is meant to be seen. So no matter what, if I hide it out of fear or I show it out of fear, either way, there's still, is kind of how we talked about, there's that little bit of intandemness where it's tied to my worth, right? Like I feel in purpose when I'm seen. But when I hide, I feel worthless, So it's like, it's a double-edged sword once you start to understand these fears. There's a lot of duality that comes into play.
Yeah, and just to echo what you said about exposed, I feel like that's a great feeling. So it's like, if you feel exposed and then you tighten up or you put a wall up or you run or you hide at that moment, that's when you know the fear of being seen is probably present.
Yes. Well, okay, so let's talk through, you can pick one of our examples that we've already got going. So, and I know that you do this with clients, so obviously don't give us too much of your secret sauce, but give us enough to keep us wanting more.
I'll give you all the sauce.
Okay.
That's what's important.
Yes. Well, so say someone is, they're stuck in the self-sabotage loop. They have a goal. Fitness goals are just easy for people to understand. I don't want you guys to think that you don't need to change. You're beautiful and you're perfect as you are. But for a physical matter example, you want to change, you want to reach these goals, and you find yourself in this loop. And now you have this awareness. Okay, I'm self-sabotaging. The toughest pill to swallow often is that we're our own dang self. We're the ones that are putting ourselves there. No one else is putting us in the situation. No one's forced us to gain weight or no one's forced us to miss a gym workout. Sometimes there's life, but for the most part, if we wanted to, we would, right? So if we're in a arm wrestle with our subconscious mind,
I like that.
what do you tell us? What do we do from there? We have the awareness now. Where do we go from there?
That's cool. So I like the arm wrestle. I've never used that example. That's exactly what it is.
It is.
Because you're like at a stalemate, and that's what feels so frustrating for people. Because it's like, I know what to do, and I have this feeling, but I don't know what's stopping me. Like, I just want to do it, but I can't.
Yes.
Like, that's that feeling.
And your brain's literally like...
Yeah, and then it's like, then you might just like barely push back a little bit, and then blah, like you get yanked back.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm making progress, blah, and then you're not again.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I know that because I've been there, you guys. I'm speaking from very much experience.
Yeah, that's a great example. I love that. So yeah, the first step is awareness, and that's the main thing that I have people. That is the thing I have people do first is like become aware of it, of all the things of when you feel triggered, of all the things, even just negative thoughts, questions, hesitations, stresses, anxiety, all those things it's pointing to an underlying fear. So how I look at it is usually like leaves on a tree. Like you can look at all the leaves on a tree, right? Like those are all the feelings, those are all the emotions, those are all the negative thoughts just blowing around in the wind. It's really hard to get a grasp of them because like you mentioned, we are only conscious of 5% of our life.
Wow. 5%.
Yeah. So it's like,
that's
and rightfully
a small percent.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And it's helpful and it's also unhelpful. Like it's happening that way because we can't be aware of like, oh, my liver is detoxing right now.
Right.
Or, oh, like literally like when I'm staring at you, my brain also is looking at this bush outside, but I'm not aware of it because that would literally like overwhelm my system. Like we only have so much capacity. And so we're only aware because like it's to conserve energy for our brain to stay efficient. And so, but that's the beauty of becoming aware. Like once you start to track these things and become aware of them, you're like, oh damn, like I didn't realize that I was thinking this or feeling this much. And so that can be overwhelming in itself. And a lot of people at that point also feel a lot of guilt and shame. And so that's another like arm wrestle, like drag you back because, well, I don't want to feel guilt and shame. So I'm going to now go back into hiding. But that's, another important thing of like, you mentioned choice of like choosing. If you really want your life to be different, then you are going to want to fully embrace these feelings. And that's, so after we become aware of like the leaves on the tree, right? Of like, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm procrastinating. Like procrastinating is indicative, like that's a fear. It's, oh, I feel anxiety. Oh, like I'm people pleasing, any of the like classic things. It's like, okay, I feel jealous. That's one of them. I'm overthinking. And so then once you become aware of that, it's like, okay, well, what is that feeling associated with that? Who was I talking to? Where was I? Was I talking to my spouse, my partner, a boss? Was I trying to post on social media? Like, you're trying to like identify where it's happening and identify the trend. And then once you get that, you're able to really distill and down into the trunk, which is the fear, right? Of like, okay, I think what I have is a fear of rejection. And so therefore, like if we use this health and fitness, like weight journey thing, is I don't want to be rejected. And so therefore I am going to hide myself and I'm going to wear baggy clothes. Like that's definitely a thing. Like if you really like baggy clothes, that's different. But if you're wearing baggy clothes to hide your body because of you don't want to be seen or objectified or whatever you want to say, then therefore, right, like that's, you're hiding because you have a fear of rejection. And so
Ben,
you want to say something before I go on? Okay.
You are a wizard reading my mind. I just, in like 2 podcast episodes, said I was working on this theory when I first was kind of overcoming disordered eating. And I feel, this is primarily a female audience. So at some point, one of my listeners has had some type of, maybe just a negative self-talk with body, maybe not full-blown eating disorder.
Oh, absolutely. We all do.
Right. So that's something that I love to speak to. Well, I just said like 2 episodes, I'm like, I have this theory that when we wear baggy clothes and like I was always wearing sweatsuits to the gym and like doing these things, I did not even have this awareness. I didn't really realize like, oh, I'm consciously hiding my body when I got dressed today. I didn't realize that. And I was working with a trainer and she's like, you've got to start wearing like, some like cute little 2-piece set. Like you got to start like dressing the part. And I was like, what is the subconscious? I know there's something there. And you literally just said it. So that's why I'm sorry to interrupt you. But I have been realizing that you're signaling to your body, like, I am not safe to be seen. So I am hiding you. And no matter what I was doing at that time, working out, eating healthy, all the things, if I'm constantly doing all this in a sweatsuit and covered up, and even my old Instagram was very like layers and layers and scarves and hats and, blah, 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 and glasses, like very hidden. And I did not realize that that was such a cry for help from my subconscious mind.
Dang, like, isn't this like, I mean, we talked about being seen yesterday and visibility. And there's, why I love this so much is because there's endless layers and levels, which can feel overwhelming. But to me, it's just like a video game. There's always going to be a new boss and a new level that we're expanding into and growing into.
Yes.
But it's like man, I love that example because I'm sure all of us can relate in some way and it could also work in the opposite. I want to mention too, right? Of like, I'm going to wear less because I want people to look at me in a certain way and receive love because I'm uncomfortable. Like I feel insecure. So I need validation in X way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it can be anywhere on the spectrum.
There's a pendulum.
Like I'm not wearing I'm wearing less to hide like what I really want to be seen for. And then I'm wearing more to also hide for what I want to be seen and like loved for. Like we just want to be loved. That sounds so cheesy, but like That's really it. All it is, right? Is like whatever you feel called and authentically want to do, not for someone else, but truly whatever your true, deep, loving desire is for yourself, whether it's more clothes, less clothes, whatever. And like, and then you alter yourself, you edit yourself, you pretend to be something, you change yourself. That's all because like there's this deep down, like you mentioned yourself about worth. There's a belief that we're not good enough. There's a belief we're not lovable enough. We're not pretty enough, whatever the thing is, right? And so that's why we change ourselves, because we want to receive love. Is like, well, I am not good enough as I am, so I need to change something about me so I do receive that. But the insidious thing of what happens is, let's just use the baggy clothes example of like, I want to be loved as I am, but I change myself. So therefore I reject who I really am. And I still don't feel good enough.
Yeah.
Because it's this thing of like, you already believe that you aren't, so you change yourself, and the signal you give to your subconscious, the evidence you're providing, is that you are hiding, therefore you are not good enough. So even if you're trying to protect yourself from being seen or being hurt or being whatever from someone else, you in turn instead do it to yourself instead of someone else, and then the cycle continues.
Wow. Yes, because I often believe that weight on some level is energetic protection. That's how it comes up for a lot of clients that I've worked with. It's
Yep.
we're carrying this weight because our body just doesn't feel safe to release it. And that was a big mantra that I was working with, was like, I am safe to be seen. Like, I am safe to release any emotions. Like, I am safe. It's just a good one to start at. Okay, I kind of derailed you, but we're still.
From what to do.
I know. I'm like, I just had to interrupt you because I just said that the other day. I'm like, I know there is. I was percolating on that because I just did not even realize. Obviously, it was my subconscious mind how much I was hidden. I had someone DM me recently, and she was like, I can really clearly see you for the first time. Like, I've followed you for years, Anna Grace. But when you were in Nashville, you always were like using filters and using all these things. It was like a distraction because
Yeah.
I on some subconscious level knew I was hiding all of my gifts or hiding these parts of me from the internet. And it was reflecting, I was kind of showing up as this persona. And then the moment I, surprise, popped out of the closet and was like, I read the Akashic Records and I'm a medium and all the things. This is me. Then it was like, I don't know, people were like, I feel like for the first time I can see you so clearly. Even my face kind of like changed a little bit. Like Helen was like, you shapeshifted. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's so crazy how it's all connected, and it's so much more emotional than we realize.
Yeah, right. Because it really is connected to like, I mean, we've already talked about this, but you were hiding or like putting on these layers or these distractions because it literally feels unsafe to be yourself. And so, like, it only makes sense. Like, I don't want people to feel like, yes, I want them to feel like a bit like a knife is turning, because then hopefully the pain encourages change. But at the same time, don't beat yourself up too much, because there's like, you're actually doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
Like every single human, we have a default setting, we have a normal, we have a familiar, and so we will do whatever we can, like subconsciously, to make sure that stays intact. And so anything that threatens that normal, your brain will like kick it away or make sure it stays intact, even if, right, it's like, man, think how much more fulfilled, think how much more loving, think how much more money I could make if all I had to do was just be myself and stop pretending. But what fear does as a survival response comes in and makes sure you don't do that, because that's not what you've been doing for years and years and years. And so, yeah, once you become aware of those patterns, and like, you're going to endlessly uncover them, right? Like, we've already uncovered a ton just in 2 days together. And it's like, you're always going to be uncovering them. And then once you do with that is, we did a little example on my show yesterday, but it's like beginning just to ask yourself questions. And in my Fear Alchemy course, I show people step by step of, okay, you've identified the thing. Now let's see what fear it is. And now that give you prompts step by step so you can subconsciously find out what that belief is. So for you, yesterday, right, was
Mm-hmm.
I need to hide because I'm worthless. And somebody might be, I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, I'm invaluable. I think that's what you said too yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So through prompts and through questions, it's getting to the root of what you're actually protecting yourself from. Because you don't know, like, I'm wearing baggy clothes to the gym because I feel worthless inside. Like, you don't know that's happening.
Right. No,
And
I,
so
I
all
had
I
no
know,
idea
yeah,
until
like, I just feel insecure and unsafe, and so I need to like hide.
hide.
And so, like, going through the prompts actually helps you reveal, oh, what am I protecting myself from? Why does it feel so scary? Why is it uncomfortable for me? Why do I feel so insecure or nervous? Or why am I so self-critical? And then you're able to get to the root. And then from there, then you're able to reframe it and realize, like, oh, like, that's not true. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if someone, like, it is safe to be seen. And that's part of those affirmations of what you just mentioned is I end with affirmations. There's nothing wrong with starting with them, but what I found is that it's really important to identify what the issue is first,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes when you just say an affirmation, you know it's not true,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
right? If I say I'm safe to be seen, but it isn't, that's that conflicting, like, you don't believe that. What are you doing? Like, and then you
Mm-hmm.
might feel, more shame or whatever in that moment. So yes, there's definitely a part of like fake it till you make it and like really say it and till you do believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that works. But if you want a quicker route, then it's really identifying what the issue is. Because if you don't identify what the issue is, it's like, it's essentially like what we've been talking about of, it's like when you're in your garden and you pick a weed from just the surface, like you try and pick it out, but just the top of it, it's going to grow back. It's going to grow back like maybe for a day or a week or a month. It's like, oh, the issue is resolved
Mm-hmm.
because I'm telling myself affirmations. And even if like I do meditations and journaling and therapy, all those things are great. But sometimes we don't actually identify what the root is. And we're just like addressing the surface symptom, right? It's very much, we talked about this yesterday, and I imagine you've talked about this on your podcast of like taking Adderall,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of like most people probably that's I am not a doctor, but I would say it's misdiagnosed
Mm-hmm.
because
I definitely was.
yeah, right. And it's like, well, that's a root like issue thing. It's like we could go deep into that, but it just to keep it simple, right? Of
Yeah.
like why I brought up the Adderall thing is because we take pills to cover up the surface symptom,
Mm-hmm.
right? I feel headaches, and so I am going to take Tylenol to make the headache go away. But that doesn't cure your headache, it just takes away the symptom.
Mm.
To actually take away your headache, right, is like, why am I getting a headache?
Right.
Because I hate my job. Because I'm just in a toxic relationship, right? It's like your body's always giving you clues for something, like all that stress or anxiety or surface symptom you feel is a sign. It's literally a signal from your body telling you that something needs to be addressed. And so that's what I teach people to do is like follow, like through the fear, we are going to follow what those symptoms are telling us, get to the root issue, and then give you the tools to actually resolve it. So it's not just like faking it or feeling like it's resolved, but deep down you know it's still there. It's actually freeing yourself from it.
Which is what we're here to do. It's on so many levels. There will always be something popping up, which I know I'm with you. I don't want to um, I make it, yeah, I'm trying not to make it sound daunting, but I want everyone to understand that when you have a trigger, that's where I'm like, no, this is good. I know it's uncomfy, but this is good because now you're really going to move through something. Like anytime I feel triggered, I have an emotion come up that makes me not feel good. I'm like, okay, I like we talked about this yesterday how I'll get really angry when
Mm.
people reject my energy work or they're offended by it or it goes against their belief system and then they attack me because I'm like what, like I feel like so yeah. And then I guess I feel attacked and then I feel
Yeah.
angry, you know? And so I was telling Ben yesterday that I kind of do this thing where I'm like, okay, we're talking to angry Anna Grace. She's angry right
Sure.
now because she's hurt. And I really, like you said, try to ask myself some questions and say, okay, why are you angry right now? Then we uncovered together, Ben, that anger is really just kind of fear hidden. Will you give your analogy too that you gave me yesterday of the little kid with the anger running out to the street?
Oh, I forgot about that. I love
Yeah.
that example because I
Yeah.
need to remember that for the future. But one of my favorite sayings is triggers are your teachers.
Mm.
So it's the same thing, right? It's like, oh, I feel angry right now. And of course, it's like feel all the things like in the moment that you're pissed off. You're not going to be like, hold up, let me,
Right.
like, let me get out my journal. Hold up.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
please stop the argument.
No, I love to. I highly encourage everyone to like stomp, like punch a pillow, scream if you want to scream in your car. I've screamed in my car, just a straight up in the car, loud, as
I've
loud as you want.
actually, yeah, like my car is actually my favorite place where I have just like blood curdling scream.
My car has seen some shit. My car's like, damn bitch, are you okay?
It would actually be like a funny meme or like skit or something. Because everybody like cars do see some shit. That's funny.
My car has seen some shit. I have a Tesla now, and there's a computer in there, and I'm always so scared something's being recorded. I'm like, if this was being recorded right now, they would probably say you shouldn't be driving.
That's so funny. But yeah, so the example was like, so there's a quote, I forgot who said it, but fear is the bodyguard or sorry, anger is the bodyguard of fear. Meaning,
Yes.
so the example is if you are a parent, or even if you have a niece or nephews, or if you don't have any, like imagine one of your best friends is, running out in the middle of the street and you see a car coming and you hurry and pull them out or tackle them and save them. Like the initial response is typically anger, right? Like a parent who saves a kid from a car coming is like, "What are you doing? Get out of there!" Right? It's like, so you're angry, but you're scared.
Right.
Obviously, like you don't want them to get hurt, and so that's the same thing of like anger inside of us. It's like there's a deeper fear that we're actually, because when you tap into what fear actually is, right? It's a biological survival. Like our we in the same way that you watch like any animal, like a deer, right? Like when something is chasing them, it runs because it wants to live. Like its first thing is like, shit, I gotta get out of here. Like it's fight or flight. The same thing for us. And so when that fear pops up, that's that same feeling, and the anger is the fight, right? Is like I need to like do something. I need to go forward. I need to take action right now so this thing doesn't happen. And but underneath that is really love. And that's another thing that people don't really know is that this is kind of more of a deep cut, but it's
I'm ready.
that
Cut me.
that, that fear is love in disguise, meaning like that polarity we talked about of there's these conflicting things of like fear exists in this human body and it's there to keep us safe. It's there to keep us alive and to protect us. And it definitely gets way out of whack, especially nowadays, right? Like you and I have talked about getting hater comments or very personal, angry, hurtful comments. That feels like a threat because it's like our body doesn't know, like, this person's online. All it knows is like, yo, you are getting attacked right now. And so that's why we respond in a defensive way. Like anytime you feel defensive, it's because you're actually afraid and you're trying to protect something. But it's really because it's like, I love myself. It's really just like fear is a misguided form of love. It's because it's trying to protect you. The same way in the parent and the kid in the street example is, yeah, I might be mad, I might be scared, but deep down it's coming from like a deep place of love and care for the kid. And so the same thing happens with ourselves. But it just gets really, really confusing of what is fear, what is love.
Right. Which is why we've got to, like you said, be pissed off, be scared, be anxious, be all the things, allow the emotion. I always tell people don't fight the emotion because that's that arm wrestle. We get into this, that's the resistance. I'm always telling people, like, let it be. Like, if I'm feeling anxious, I'm like, okay, this is anxiety. Hello. I'm feeling anxious. That's okay. It's a wave. It's going to pass. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to ground myself. I'm going to go outside, get some sunshine, do what I got to do. And then that's kind of your juicy golden ticket to, invite yourself. You guys, you got to check out Ben's page and his course, because his gift is uncovering fears. That is not my gift, so I will let him speak mostly to this from a professional sense, but I do encourage you, when you have those heightened states, to look to the journal prompts, ask yourself questions. At least I always try to ask myself 3 questions, even if I have a headache. Before I take anything, I'm like, am I dehydrated? Did I look at my screen? Was I overworking myself? Was I, at least just like really, really, 1, having awareness, and 2, being a bit observational is the best place I can guide you. And then from there, obviously, you guys got to check out Ben's alchemy course.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like it's very accessible and simple to do for everyone. And even if you're like, I'm not ready, like it sounds scary, that's okay. Like I would just like what Anna Grace just said about 3 questions. I love that. Like you can just ask like, because why? Mm-hmm. And you can just keep doing that again and again and again. Well, I have a headache. Why? I feel stressed. Well, why am I stressed? Work. Well, why am I stressed at work? It's like, oh, because there's this deadline. Well, why am I stressed about the deadline? It's like, oh, because I've placed this really important like meaning behind the deadline that if I don't do the thing, then I'm going to lose my job or my boss is going to get mad at me. And then you can keep asking why. And then really you get down to the fear of, so if you're brave enough and willing, you can literally just ask why. And then if you want additional guidance, for sure, like sign up for the course or hit me up. But asking why is a really helpful beginning process.
Yes, because for so long, I feel I was afraid to ask why, you're like really getting honest with yourself. And I do want to just say, I was so scared to tell people about my gifts, and I was so scared to even tell my partner. I joke all the time how, even though we were doing like a long distance and he was coaching, he was really busy. So we didn't have a ton of time together in the beginning of our relationship. But still, I didn't want to tell him these things about me. I had this whole story worked up in my head. And then, you know what? I told everyone, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. It was never that serious. He was just like, okay, well, this is new to me, and I don't really know what you're talking about, but I love you and I support you. And I was like, oh, okay. I accept you. I don't know.
What was the story? And like, that's how you know you got a real one, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, not everyone will do that. But what was the story inside of your head? Do you remember? I know there's probably more than one, but what was the main one?
Yeah, I think, Austin's family is like, comes from a Southern religious, his dad's side Southern Baptist, just very traditional family. And I knew he wasn't familiar with any of this work. And I was afraid, honestly, it would freak him out. And I was having these really intense, well, obviously when you're so connected to your partner, like I always tell people, physically, emotionally, especially sexually, like I couldn't even kind of control some of the like information that I was getting around him. I only feel that way about him. Like sometimes people were like, are you reading my mind right now? I'm like, no, I'm not reading your mind. But with Austin, it's different because we were so connected. And so I was having these, and I'm like, how do I tell this man that, his grandfather or his great aunt who has passed away has, coming to me in vision or in meditation or, whatever. It just felt like he was so in the dark and the information was so over here. I didn't even know how to slowly like breadcrumb that, it was kind of just like, you got to rip the Band-Aid. And there was a few times that I tried to bring it up and I could tell he wasn't really like, I could just tell he wasn't getting it. So I was just like, gosh, I would try to like, like just try to be like, well, what do you think about this? And he's like, I don't know what that is. Or, it was just like never really, finally I was like, listen, you need to sit down and I have to tell you something. We were actually playing the card game. We were not really strangers. And I pulled the card that's like, what's a secret you've been keeping from me? And I'm like, wow. The universe really said, it's time. It's time. And, I told him, I'm like, yeah, well, I had this crazy, he knew I'd had this crazy, like, near-death experience, but I didn't tell him that he knew I'd had, this heart attack and all these crazy things happened, but I didn't tell him, this was kind of the side effects, that I have these 2 gifts, not the side effects, but the outcome, the purpose of the event. So anyways, I'm not really actually sure what the narrative was. Probably that he would be scared of me, freaked out by me, or in some level, that's obviously a fear of rejection or abandonment, you know?
Yeah. I was gonna say abandonment for sure.
Yeah. And he was like, you know what? I don't know exactly what this means. But he did not for a second bat an eye. He's like, I love you. I think you're great. And if that's what you're into, then I support you. And you're gonna have to explain it to me. You know, he was
Mm.
totally like, you're just gonna have to like let me kind of go at my own pace with this because this is like all new to me. But, you know, if he has questions, he asks questions. He's really great about boundaries. Like if there's something that I am doing that is a little outside of his comfort zone or makes him nervous, he's like, you know what? I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. And I'm like, okay. He does. He's like, that I don't know if I'm ready for that. And I'm like, okay. So,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, and obviously that's not the case for everybody. I think that's very mature and like healthy way to handle it and a loving way to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what people are afraid of, right? It is like the rejection and abandonment of, and there's so many things that are intertwined, right? Of like you mentioned his family of like being misunderstood
Mm-hmm.
and like judged. But ultimately, right, is just like, yeah, like it's so hard to even probably grasp on to the stories because it just feels like anxiety and like racing and like all your heart's beating faster or whatever it may be. But ultimately, right, is we all we're all like me and you talked about this yesterday, like even some of the most successful people I've seen and why it came up because you mentioned like you did readings for celebrities and like
Mm-hmm.
but people don't know that all these celebrities or all of these millionaires or all of these quote unquote successful people that you see like yo like I promise they're all afraid. They all have a level that they're trying to reach, but the difference is a lot of them, even if they don't know it or not, like they don't let the fear stop them.
Mm.
And so that's definitely the biggest thing that I've seen of like they're actually still really terrified. Um, and some of them actually might have been successful because of the fear, right? Like they're trying to prove their dad wrong.
Mm.
And so now it's like, I'm going to do everything to show you, to prove you wrong. But they're actually not happy. Like they're actually like, they really might look successful on the inside or on the outside, but inside they're miserable because they're not living what's in alignment and what their true purpose.
Mm.
So what's looks quote unquote successful, they did everything that they were told that they were supposed to do, but they still feel empty. And so, and again, we talked about this yesterday too, right? Of like the perfect mix of, to me, success. I would just like my version of success is like that perfect piece of alignment where like I'm going to bed at night, I feel peace, I'm in love with my life, I'm excited,
Mm.
like, and then also that comes with money, that comes with like the typical material success that we like deem as successful. But real success to me is just like peace. Honestly, that's what success means to me
Mm.
is like peace, contentment. Because like we mentioned at the beginning of like needing to suffer for success is like, nah, like I'm not in that game. It's like I choose peace. I choose fulfillment. I choose like thriving. Man, just the word peace keeps coming up.
Mm.
So I guess that's I got off on a little tangent,
No,
but I
I
just
love
wanted
it.
to mention that for people who feel like you're alone. I promise you're not alone. Like every single person is struggling with something that they're afraid of. So I promise you're not alone.
No. I have fears that come up every day. I'm sure you have fears that come up every
Yeah,
day. But
absolutely.
we have, you know, one, the awareness, and two, we have some tools. It's all about just having some tools in our toolbox. And we're like, that's okay. You know, you can't have people often be like, how do I get this voice inside of my head to shut up? Or how do I turn the fears off or turn this off, turn the ego off? I'm like, it's never going to turn off.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's there for a reason. It's there as a guide. You know, triggers are your greatest teachers. I love that. And it's all just, that's why I love AG University. I love this conversation so much because it really is so empowering when you have this awareness like, okay, I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. We all have fear. We all have I have self-sabotage plenty of times. For
Yep.
2 years of my life, I'm pretty sure I was just in a self-sabotage roundabout. I was trapped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
you
I,
were in a freaking roundabout or like That's exactly what you're in.
Revolving door. Yeah.
Yeah, revolving door.
And I'm like, I don't want to get out. I'm just going to keep on spinning because it's safe in here. I do have one last question for you. I could talk to you for probably another 2 hours, but I kept you for we talked for about 2.5 hours yesterday. But I'm really excited. You guys definitely need to check out our episode because he walks me through some of my deep fears. And I told him, I'm like, don't hold back. Ask me the questions because I want you to catch me off guard. Hit me where it hurts. So if you guys want to hear me uncover some fears, please be my guest. I'll link the episode in the show notes. But I would love explanation from your expertise and some of your wisdom around. Everyone here is really into, obviously, manifestation. They're new to these law of attraction concepts, which we love, and they're fun, and they're so exciting and magical. And not to take away that magic, but we're just going to add a little extra information. How do you, I guess, connect the concept of limiting beliefs and fear in the manifestation process? We can talk about particularly money, or if you want to give, specific leg. I know that's broad.
Yeah. So I'll use myself as an example. Let me actually pull out I wish I had my journal here. So here's if you're talking about money, I'm going to recommend this book.
Ooh.
It's called Overcoming Under-Earning.
Love.
I love that title. I was like, damn, that's a good title.
That's a good title. I haven't read that book, but I'm going to read it now.
So my coach that I worked with on my subconscious, she recommended this. And typically I'm like kind of whatever, but this is actually really helpful because it's essentially like a workbook. So in this book, she has something called the Grand Conundrum. And what she says is you get what you really want, not what you ask for. Ooh. So this is essentially our limiting beliefs, right? And I said this before about we all have two forces inside of us. One clings to safety and the other pushes us forward. Mm-hmm. So it's the limiting belief, and if we're specifically talking about money, is one question I love just to ask is well, why don't you want it?
Oh.
Right. And it's because everyone says, of course I want more money. It's that's what you think. That's what you say. But what part of you actually doesn't want it? Right. Of course, we have fear of losing money. We have fear of not having enough money. Right. There's a part of us that actually feels safe in struggle. Mm. So
it's familiar.
Yeah. When we use the weight example, the same thing happens with money. And literally the same thing has happened with me. Last month was my best month in business because I finally figured some shit out.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It feels so fucking good.
God, I love it.
And I was just hitting a wall, and I was so frustrated. And I could tell you all the things of how I was holding myself back, right? But it was ultimately I just finally wanted to take responsibility. And ultimately, I realized I was still playing a victim. In so many ways of a lot of ways, but specifically with money. And so that when you ask yourself well, why don't I want it? Or why am I safe? What feels safe about scarcity? I imagine a lot of us, that's what we grew up with. Right. For me, right. I had a single mom, absolutely did her best, crushed it. And at the same time, we struggled. Because she's a single mom, had 5 kids.
5 kids?
Yeah. Had to be a mom plus the provider.
Right.
And so was laid off. She was still trying to be an entrepreneur. We moved a lot, food stamps, all the things. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't realize that, I actually felt safe with that because that's what I grew up around. Mm-hmm. And so subconsciously, even as hard as I can try, back to the weight example, I can make a lot of money, but then that feels unsafe. So then, for example, a pattern for me, in my coaching business was I make a lot of money and then I hang out. I don't do anything. I don't build off of that. And I just relax. I just chill until it trickles back down again. And it's oh shit, I gotta do it again. Mm-hmm. And because then it's the fear pops in, the survival of not to have it, instead of hey, let's build some sustainability. Let's build some systems. Let's actually grow this thing. But really there's so many fears underlying that, right? I definitely have a fear of being seen, of more responsibility, of rejection, of abandonment, like all for me are like in this, like intertwined into this thing of like similar to you, like stepping into my power and like using my voice and my gift. But ultimately, it was like it felt safe. And so it was like why I didn't want more money. Another reason was like because then I would be unrelatable,
Oh.
right? Is like now people are going to ask for money, or people are going to think I'm too good for them. People I'm going to think I'm prideful. Like there's so many things that like tie in. Like it's not the money, it's what it means. So money could mean safety. Money could mean like if you grew up in religious background, right? Is like it could be like evil. Like too much money is evil. But what is too much money to you? Like that's completely personal of like so you will actually feel unsafe with having a lot of money in your bank account. And so you hurry and spend it. I know that's a common thing for people is like you have this is a funny self-sabotage thing that we have is like and when I say funny, I mean really shitty. Like
Yeah.
like because it's like, okay, I made all this money, but I'm afraid of losing it. So I'm going to hurry and use it right now.
Oof.
And so then what do you do, right? It's that typical self-sabotage thing that we talked about is like, I'm
Spend it.
afraid of losing it, so I spend it quickly and therefore I lose it.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to spend it so that I can't lose it.
Yeah. And so instead of like, like I can treat myself and also like, let me invest it. Let me strategically like save some. Let me have fun with some, whatever feels like in alignment with you. But those are just a few key things of like how we actually like with money, similar to yo-yo dieting or like gaining, losing weight, same thing of like why we may be stuck in the same cycle of like what feels safe, but ironically, it's also what that keeps us miserable and stuck.
It's so wild. And even just like speaking these things out, it gives people the power to take the power back into, okay, hold up, that's not me, that's not my voice. Because a lot of times for me, just to give one example, just to bring something to light, maybe someone else can relate or, take it or leave it. But my mom she had a company and was very successful. She worked very hard. And I uncovered this in therapy, actually. One limiting belief I had around a lot of areas of my life was the word, selfish or
Mm.
even vain, because she never had time to do anything for herself. And she'd be
Mm.
like, oh, well, if I wasn't working so hard and doing all these things, then I would have time to do that, blah, blah, blah. So then I started thinking, oh, caring about my health and my looks and prioritizing me is selfish or vain or bad or wrong, right? On
Oh,
some level. And the same with money. I consider myself a very generous person. So making all of this money when I started out felt selfish. Like I needed to like give it away or spend it or do,
hmm.
or, redistribute it. I didn't, deserve to have all this money because I needed to, that was selfish or wrong or something. There was this word for me because I never wanted to be considered selfish. And that was
Yeah.
kind of a limiting belief that I recognized that was a voice from my mom. And like your mom, she was in the absolute best she could. She had
Yeah.
no ill intention. I love my mom. She did the best she could, parenting and being really busy. And, you know, I am who I am
Dang.
because of her. But yeah, it's interesting how that shows up. And I mean, that was like, I had been in therapy for a year and I was like, well, hot dog.
I love that example so much. Thanks for sharing that because it really is like, and that's the thing, right? Like that's why there's always something to learn, which is so beautiful. Of like because people are like, okay, I finally made it. Like I'm making money, I'm doing what I love, and it's like, well, shit. Why is my bank account da da da? It's like, well, I actually believe making money is wrong, and so like I don't want it. Like subconsciously, I will literally find ways to subconsciously remove it because it's wrong. And so, in order to protect that belief, right, that limiting belief is money is selfish, money is wrong. So, therefore, I will get rid of it. And that's just a beautiful summary of like how limiting beliefs limit us, like these, but they're actually not true, right?
And they're sneaky.
They're very sneaky. And like, even just to give context for like your mom, right, of like, that's how she was protecting herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why she was saying, like, I don't have time for these things is because she actually wanted it She wanted that more than anything. I'm just projecting, but I
Yeah.
imagine this is probably what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
She actually did want those things. And so her subconscious was protecting her, like saying like, um, that was her way of not compromising. What am I trying to say? Like, as in, I don't mean this in a bad way, like, because we all have a victim, but that was her victim story of like, I don't have time for me.
Right.
And so that was her way of like protecting herself so she didn't feel bad about herself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
But then that story now, of course, plays on, and a lot of our fears aren't from us. And
Right.
about this, right? Is like it's past life stuff. Like
Mm.
literally it's in our DNA. Like I had a reading on myself and then with an intuitive healer, and she said it was in my 14th grandpa. It was
Wow. Mm-hmm.
having to do with like it was with the heart, and like not he didn't feel like safe in his body, and that has now trickled down to every male in my family
Mm-hmm.
until now. And so I was like, damn, like all this stuff we don't even know is us. Like it is us because we're choosing it, but
Right.
at the same time, it's passed on, and so we can choose to be different and to change it.
Oh yeah. I in every, I think everybody at some point in their life, or I don't want to speak for everyone, maybe me and you projectors, the 1-3 we're curious and we're investigators and we want to know all the things. And of course I did all the readings, past life regression,
Hmm.
hypnotherapy, you name it, I've done it. But I've learned so much, some positive, some negative. But I was on I saw everyone for like a year. It was also around the quarantine heading into that time where, I was just in a deep exploration phase. But a lot of my lifetimes and, past incarnations, I have always had this gift that I have now, the Akashic Records, which makes sense. I told you when I did the first reading, I felt like I had done it my whole life. Like, just, I didn't even really need any training. I still did training just for my own formality,
Hmm.
but I didn't. I never felt like I just knew what I was doing. I always feel safe. I know. And but in every single life there was a lot of lives where I was, ostracized from society, or the like, burn her at the stake, she's a witch. I mean, literally everyone always told me, they're like, yeah, you probably just were like a little wizard fairy, and people, it freaked them out and they killed you. And I'm like, well, okay. So no wonder in this life for 2 years I hid literally behind clothing, behind filters, behind things, because it was scary to be seen in that way. And I literally did a hypnotherapy session where I'm like, okay, in this life, no one is going to stone you.
No one is going to stone you.
No one's going to get their pitchfork and take you to the town center. Like, truly, it's wild. I mean, that might be far out for some of you guys here who haven't explored past lives, but I do believe that the soul has a layers of journeys, and we can heal any of it, all of it. It's just learning, looking a little closer, seeing how we feel.
Amen. Hot dog.
Hot dog. I haven't said hot dog in a while, but I've been saying it a lot today. I don't know where it came from. Oh, yes. Well, Ben, is there anything else? One of your favorite takeaways, anything you want to leave us with? We would love for you to pimp yourself out in every capacity,
Mhm.
please.
Yeah, let me tap in. Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing that's coming up is just to remind people that you're capable.
Mm.
Yeah, just like let that sink in. Like if you're in that freaking revolving door,
Mm.
as you put it, like you can literally step out. You might feel
Yes.
dizzy for a minute, right? And then you
Yeah.
might be like, oh, like this isn't like, but it's like you will regulate to that. Like it feels scary to step out of your comfort zone, but that will become your new comfort zone. And
Hmm.
now, and then in a year or two, it's going to feel scary to leave that too. So it's like like building safety within yourself is so important, right? Like not relying on a person, not relying on a job, not relying on a government or a God. Like that's my opinion, right? Of like relying, like that's true freedom. of like you have that safety and trust within yourself, then like you're really free. And so just reminding everybody that you are actually already free. Like all the things you want to be, it's who you already are. And it's about remembering that. It's not about like yes, you are growing and learning and becoming, but even why AG just said, right? Like when I did it for my first time, I felt like I've been doing it all my life because, right, is like all you're doing is remembering. And so like follow that feeling, follow like nothing, you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. It's just simply why we do this healing work stuff or manifesting or whatever is just to simply remember like how freaking awesome we are. And so that's what I would say. And then for pimp purposes,
Yes, that was beautiful. Thank you.
my Instagram is the fear guy. So easy to find, easy to Google. And then I imagine in the show notes, AG, I'd actually love to give your people a discount for the course. I know we didn't talk about that.
No, we would be honored. I always want everyone at AGU to try all the things. Please. Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll give a discount for you. That discount code will be in the show notes because I don't know what it is yet, but
We can make it AG University.
like, so AG University.
Yeah.
Amazing. There you go. So that's the code.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good, just go to AG University. If that
I
works
love
for
it.
you.
And then, yeah, that will give you a mystery % off, which is fun.
I love it.
And then, yeah, like if like seriously hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions. If you're not the course type of person, then I definitely do in-person things. Not a ton, but so it's definitely a bigger investment. But if that's something that you're called toward, I imagine there's 1 or 2 people that feel that right now of like, damn, like I'm ready to do this thing. I'm ready to share my gift. And you're terrified. That's the perfect mix, just so you know. Like usually when people work with me or they're about just in general, right? When you're about to do something that's your soul is calling you toward, that's when it's like, oh shit, like I am so terrified and I'm so lit up. That's that perfect mix. And so if you feel that calling, yeah, you can find all the links on my Instagram bio, all the things.
Yes.
Oh, and I also have a podcast that we mentioned.
Yes, yes.
So go listen to The Fear Alchemist if you want to dive deeper into what fear can feel like and look like and how to uncover it, how to break free from it. It's definitely, it's fun. It's a deep dive, and you want to go hear AG's breakthrough of being seen and hiding and knowing that she is worthy and loved.
Yes, yes, yes. All of it. Ben, this is an absolute honor to have you. On behalf of everyone at AG University, thank you for your time and your wisdom and all of your messages. It was so beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you deeply. Do you have a nickname that people call you on here? Are you like the headmistress or what are you?
I like to say Professor AG.
Professor. Okay, I was going to say that first thing. Okay, Professor AG. Thank you.
Thank you. As always, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. If you feel so called or if it feels aligned, I would love for you to leave me a review here. I always love reading your beautiful thoughts and messages. And also you can find me at Anna Grace Newell on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I will link all of my courses, AG University course curriculum in the show notes, along with if you're interested in booking an Akashic Records reading with me. My scheduling link goes out in my newsletter. It goes out once a month and it's completely free. I would love to have you there. As always, I'm a proud professor and you get an A+ for making it all the way through the end. Love you.